I have a lot of favorite books from Thomas Sowell. We talked about this recently. And one of my favorite books that just knocked my socks off was Intellectuals in Society. It's which way is it? Okay. It's right there, as a matter of fact. Okay. And it's an incredible book and talks about all these intellectuals, and they're supposed to be absolutely brilliant, but there's a difference between, intellect and wisdom. Okay. And so they come up with all these programs and they come up with solutions when the world is based on trade-offs. And I get into this very heavily in my book. Most of my book, about 80% of it is tools, techniques, and methods and things like this. Everything from brainstorming to visualization to mind maps to thinking through issues to curious and open mind, all that stuff right there. But about 20% is how to apply them to the problems of today. Okay, are minimum wage laws really helpful, or are they harmful to the people that they're trying to help? Is affirmative action really helpful or harmful? Again, and I don't know how deep you want to get into this. But I don't shy away from these issues. Is human caused climate change? How bad is it? And when you start taking things apart, and that's engineering where I learned it, but I also learned, and you mentioned this, is communicating it, because of the way my mind works. I have to try to break it down to be as simple as possible. And when you start looking at things, you can have a different way. Now, my book is all about learn how to think, not what to think. So there's a balancing act because of course I have my prejudice. I mean, we all do. Okay. But I try to keep them down to a minimum. Thomas Sowell does a masterful job when he writes, and he explains it out as clear as possible and lets you come to the conclusion. But if you really, read it carefully, you can understand what he believes. But it's a masterful way. And that's why his books sell just incredibly, and they have thousands and thousands of positive reviews.
Yeah, I think it's the simplicity of which he puts it, and he puts it in context or words that are familiar to most of us that are hard to refute. I mean, there's only one way, typically, if you're honest about it, that you can see the point that he's trying to make. I know I'm greatly simplifying the mind of a very brilliant man.
You're not. That's the beauty. That's the genius of it, to make it as simple as possible, but not simpler, as Einstein one time put.